嗨，大家好，我是戴淑轩，我来自英国，欢迎回到我的频道。之前我们已经聊过关于英国人在家的奇怪习惯，接下来让我们再来讨论10个或许会让你们觉得奇特的居家行为，也欢迎在下面分享你们的经验哦。Okay, so the first thing that you might find unusual about what people do in their houses in the UK is that they drink water from the tap. A lot of people do this, myself included. It's considered 100% perfectly safe to drink the water from the taps in the UK because it's already been treated. Now, there has been a little bit of controversy about this because in different parts of the country, the water quality tends to be different. You have hard water in places like the south, where I live, where the water has come through the chalk in the ground. And so there's some minerals like calcium in the water, which are considered to be good for you. And then other places have soft water. But this soft water and hard water difference can cause some different, like maybe skin irritations for some people. I know that a handful, maybe one of my friends has like sensitive skin. And so they think that the hard water actually irritates their skin, and so they have a special fitting in the shower that makes the water become soft water before it touches their skin. But for the majority of people, this isn't an issue. The controversy that I was mentioning about is to do with the fluoride quantity in the water. So I believe that a small amount of fluoride is added into our drinking water because it's good for your teeth. Fluoride helps prevent tooth decay. But there have been some conspiracies about this, with people saying that fluoride is a very toxic chemical, and why is this being added to our water? Because it causes like health problems. So there's a little bit of that conspiracy. Most people that you meet will have absolutely no problem drinking tap water. You might find that some people just prefer the taste of bottled water or filtered water. If someone offers you specially filtered water, or they have a special jug that filters the water before they drink it, or they might even use water directly from their fridge, which comes out pre-filtered. So this is all down to personal preference really, but what I would say is that you really don't need to buy bottled water in the UK. I would say that's kind of wasteful actually, because you don't need to be buying all like the plastic big bottles of water and then throwing away the plastic. I think the cheap plastic from those bottles seeping into the water is probably going to be much worse for you than drinking the water out of the tap. So that's my thoughts on that topic. Now, recently I found out from a friend that actually many people who come to live in the UK from other countries, particularly maybe from Asian countries, find that they start to lose their hair when they're exposed to the water here, maybe from drinking the water or from some other reason. And that is quite shocking. It's even more shocking for me to find out that people from other countries might think that the water is a cause of male pattern baldness, so men becoming balder in early age in the UK. Most people in this country don't know about that. If you ask the average British person, they'll be baffled to hear this. Does the water in the UK cause baldness? Is this like a widespread belief, or is it like only some people that feel like this? Or I'd love to know, so just let me know in the comments. Okay, my next point is about toilet paper. What a fun topic. In the UK, you'll find that pretty much everyone flushes their toilet paper down the toilet. So if you do not do this, it could actually be seen as a bit strange, especially if you've gone for a number 2. If you put the toilet paper in the waste paper basket, it might get a bit stinky. You can probably guess what number 2 means in this situation. It's like a euphemistic way of talking about that thing. I've been to lots of other countries where that isn't the case, and I always forget to put the toilet paper in the bin rather than straight down the toilet. I guess a lot of the time it's to do with the pipe system. Maybe the pipes can't quite take that much paper down the toilet. So yeah, that's just the difference there. Right, my third point is about something that people always want to talk to me about, which is about the time of day of showering. If you ask most people in the UK what time they have a shower, they're probably going to be like, I don't know, it's not something they've thought about before. They might be more likely to say the morning. I personally shower both in the morning and in the evening, usually. Sometimes I might skip either of those for whatever reason. But basically it wouldn't be uncommon for someone to not shower in the evening and just go straight to bed. But I gather that this is quite an unusual thing for a lot of you guys watching this channel, because you might be thinking, haven't you just like spent the whole day outside getting sweaty, getting dirty, doing whatever you've been doing out and about, and then you just carry that dirt with you into your bed, which is supposed to be a clean space, which I do totally get. It's much nicer to get into clean sheets with a clean body and sleep peacefully that way. I think the reason that a lot of people prefer to shower in the morning is because they want to start the day fresh, and it's more about being clean and not smelling bad for other people. So if you go to your own bed a bit dirty, it's kind of like, that's not ideal, but at least it's just me. But if you go to work a bit dirty, then maybe that will have more negative consequences. So I think that's probably the reason why most people prefer to shower in the morning. The next slightly unusual behavior is that most people in their house have something called a Hoover. In the US it's called a vacuum cleaner, and in the UK we usually call it a Hoover. It's something that sweeps the dust and dirt off of carpets predominantly, kind of all flooring, but they're specifically designed for carpets. Because as I talked about in my previous video, which you can click here to watch, most houses in the UK have carpeted flooring rather than hard or laminated or wooden flooring. And so that means things like sweeping and mopping only happen for hard flooring, which you'll find in kitchens and bathrooms mostly. Okay, so on the topic of hoovering, let's just have a little pause here. I'm going to bring you today's sponsor. The Tineco Floor 1 S3 isn't like other hoovers. It vacuums and washes at the same time. Are you crying over spilled milk? More. The Tineco Floor 1 S3 can help you out. Auto mode. Here comes Tineco. And it also knows exactly what type of dirt it's approaching and uses the right suction and water levels to clean that stain. Oh yeah. Did your dog do a duty? Bentley, was this you? Did you do this? Don't worry, Tineco can help. The smart LED display tells you when the device needs charging and if there's any blockages. You just plug it into charge like this.
Start self-cleaning.
And you can use it to clean those messes off your hard flooring. Right, the next unusual habit in British houses is that when you go around to someone's house, they are likely to offer you a cup of tea within like the first 5 minutes. In fact, if it's the first thing they say to you, that wouldn't be considered weird. What would be more weird is if they don't offer you something to drink at all throughout the duration of you being in their house. So it's very, very common for someone to say, would you like a cup of tea? Or would you like a cup of tea or coffee? Or would you like anything to drink? In fact, on the odd occasion where I've forgotten to offer this, let's say for example, my mum comes round and I'm not used to offering tea to my mum because, I don't know, she's my mum, then she'll be like, can I have some tea? So, you know, lots of people are expecting to have tea. It's what they look forward to when they go to someone's house, besides talking to you, hopefully. So some do's and don'ts about the tea thing. If you don't want tea, that's fine. You can say, no, I'm all right, thank you. You could potentially ask if they have coffee. For example, if they said, would you like a tea? You could say, oh, I'm not sure if you have any coffee, because I guess it's relatively expected that someone might have coffee in their house, but definitely don't ask for anything that's more unusual than that. Like, don't ask for a green tea, don't ask for some, like, I don't know, hot honey and lemon drink. Don't ask for something that they might not have. A lot of the time they might say, would you like anything to drink? Then you could reasonably say, oh yeah, sure, what do you have? And they might list out like, oh, I don't know, water, orange juice, tea, coffee, blah, 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 and then you can make your choice. The next thing that might be considered unusual in British houses is that people use hot water to wash their clothes. Absolutely most people you meet will use hot water. There's a bit of suspicion about using cold water because we believe that it might not clean your clothes properly. Yeah, so the standard setting is usually around 40 degrees, up to 50 or 60 for maybe some different types of materials, and you could go down to 30 if you're trying to be more eco or if you want a fast wash. Sometimes washing machines even have a 20-degree setting, but like I say, I think lots of people would view that potentially with a bit of suspicion. Of course, these habits might be changing now that we've got this kind of cost of living crisis and obviously global warming causing people to think a bit more about how they use their energy in their house. I think a lot of washing machines don't even really have a setting where you can do a full wash only using cold water. Or if there is, I haven't really seen or used it before. My next point is about locking bedrooms. In most British houses, the bedrooms upstairs, or any of the rooms in fact, cannot be locked from the inside. I think a lot of parents would be quite worried if their child's bedroom was able to be locked from the inside. And potentially for this reason, most rooms do not come with locking systems in the general sort of family house. If you're in some sort of student accommodation or like a house share, then you should be able to lock your personal room from the inside. Now, obviously that can create some annoying / awkward situations if your parent walks in without you approving them to come in first. first. So most families have a kind of knock first system, but what mums often do, which is really annoying, is they'll knock while opening the door. So they haven't really waited for you to say, come in, they're just coming in anyway. Next interesting point, when do you brush your teeth? Is it before breakfast or after breakfast? I did an Instagram poll and found that most of you said you brush your teeth before breakfast. I think me and most of my friends would brush our teeth after breakfast. Now, I understand the argument for brushing your teeth before breakfast because you just slept and there's, your mouth's kind of disgusting. You want to be clean before you swallow all your own bacteria back down your throat when you're eating breakfast. My reason for brushing my teeth after breakfast is, first of all, that was how I was raised and it was always done like that. But I kind of feel like toothpaste is probably quite toxic, and so I don't want to be then swallowing it back down. Obviously, if you still rinse your mouth, but there might be little particles left. To be honest, I'm probably overthinking it a bit. I think the reason that most British people choose to brush their teeth after breakfast is similar to the shower thing. They want to be fresh for the day. They want to go out and speak to people and the world and their colleagues and stuff and be minty fresh, right? And if you've just had your bacon and whatever you had for breakfast, then maybe you're not as fresh as you could be. So that's the logic behind that, I think. Next point, deodorant. 99.9% of British people wear deodorant, and this is a specific product, also called an antiperspirant. It has some sort of chemical in it that stops you from sweating, and it really does work. I don't know how it works, but it sort of like blocks your sweat glands or sweat pores. And if someone forgets to use deodorant on one day, they are probably going to smell bad by the end of the day, especially men. Again, I talked about this already in a previous video here. It seems that most Asian people don't need to wear deodorant, which is really cool. That's like a superpower. And my last point is kind of a moot point, I think. Some people have said to me that they think British people seem to be less careful when doing the washing up in terms of making sure that the washing up liquid is completely gone from the plates. Like they might leave a few bubbles on the plates and think that's okay. I personally try not to do this, but I can kind of understand what you mean in that probably people are a bit less careful when doing the washing up maybe. I've been doing a lot of dog sitting recently and seeing all different kinds of houses and like how clean people keep their houses. It varies a lot, and some people really just don't seem to care that much. There's little bits of food on their supposedly clean cutlery and plates and so on. So I think just it varies in terms of people's standards to do with hygiene. Whether that varies like more broadly across cultures, I'm not too sure. I think we need a bit more research about that. Most people tend to use a dishwasher, to be honest. I mean, I would always prefer to do that. So that's it. That's all I have to share for today. Lots of things here. If you agree or you disagree, or if you've had different experiences, please let me know down in the comments. 谢谢收看，我是戴淑萱，我们下次见喽。